The Baldwin family is milking 410 cows on 189 hectares in Pasture in Waikato. They're currently in the third year of converting their operation to organic milk production.
We were conventional farmers and we didn't really have too many ideas until Hamish suggested he'd like to take the farm organic, and the first thing I did was hit the internet, and we went along to some organic seminars in Palmerston North and found out quite a bit more. We had like a good whole year lead up to actually having Hamish and Jane come on the farm and commence the organics.
Certainly the initial reaction was cautious, to say the least, but I think after Hamish showed us the financial numbers and benefits associated with organic farming, particularly the premium offered by Fonterra and the cost reductions from taking out some of the high inputs, we saw it on our bottom line, and that was our ticket to getting on board and doing it. The real upside for me with organics for us as landowners is about servicing an elite customer base of extremely wealthy people, most of whom live in Tokyo, London and New York, who want to have a premium product and be able to feed their kids or themselves on something that they really rate. It's had no chemicals, whatever it is they like about it. That's to me the buzz, and so we do receive, in return for selling our milk to Fonterra, a very good premium. It's $1.05 above the milk price, and they obviously generate that extra income by selling at a premium overseas. The bottom line is that by the time you add the premium and then get the benefit of the reduced costs, we don't have to buy chemicals, we don't have to buy urea, we don't have to buy a whole range of other things that as landowners we would have done. There is a significant gain in it. And in this case, we're 410 cows. It's in the region of $80,000 to $100,000 on our bottom line as a result of organic production. So we think that's worth having.
My interest in organics, I suppose, began right back at university. I had to fill 20 points in my final year, and I did a Introduction to Organic Farming Systems paper, and it was very interesting, I must say. And I parked all that away, and of course I went to the Dairy Board consulting offices, and we talked about urea and superphosphate and fast rotations and ryegrass and so on. But there were a couple of organic farmers up in Northland who I did tap into and just kept up to date with what they were doing and trying to achieve. The desire to go organics was as much financial. We weren't particularly interested in saving the planet. We weren't particularly interested in the fact that the food we produce, the milk we send off the farm, might be better than conventional milk, but we were interested in the financial results. I guess in my ideal, I'd like to milk a small number of cows and have a huge financial result, I suppose. The hardest part is about year 2, when the soils are suddenly going, hey, where's our superphosphate? Where's our soluble fertilisers, which we aren't allowed to do under organics? The cows, of course, are now at the stage where we aren't allowed to use the penicillins and so on, and if we do so, then the cows have to leave the property. So all the experimentation we've been doing in the past 2 years with homeopathics and manuka honeys and aloe veras and so on, they really have to work for us this year. I guess as a share milker with all my assets tied up in cows, that is the hardest thing, to see cows leave the farm because they don't fit the system. There's about 7 different products which you can use for mastitis under the homeopathic umbrella. You've got to find it early, so I've trained all my staff to, strip a quarter every milking, and we've got to find it quick and we've got to act on it right then and there. You can't say, oh, I'll leave it till tomorrow, because it'll be worse tomorrow. And then you've got to be very observant. What type of mastitis are we looking at here? Is the udder hot? Is the mastitis stringy, or is it just watery with a few flecks in it? And then work with a product which relates to that. And as I said, about 50 to 60% response rate. Other animal health issues, lameness and so on, I've become very good at dealing with lameness, spotting it early, getting that hoof up, dealing with it, standing her in a paddock by herself for a day or so, using copper sulfates, using plantain as a poultice to suck the pus out if there is any. And the thing which I'm so excited about it is the different pastures which we're working with here. We're working with pastures which extract different sort of nutrients from the soil and bring them up, provide them for the cows so we don't have to source them from elsewhere. Establishing pastures on an organic farm really comes down to running it through a crop first. If you've got species in the paddock which you don't want anymore, you really have to turn them over. That's either using a plough or a rotary hoe, run them through a crop for a season and then get them back into the species you want. So on this farm, because we're quite aggressive in the fact that we want much more of this area across our farm, we have committed ourselves to 10 hectares per year of cropping, followed by laying down a herbal lay. So the crop we use is a hunter brassica, which is a brassica which really only produces leaf, no bulb, and we rotary hoe the paddock in late October, sow in early November, and we're grazing it by Christmas, and we can probably get 2 or 3 grazings out of it depending on the season, and then we're putting in the herbal lay in late March. To go organic, you've got to have excellent animal husbandry skills, or a wish to develop them anyway, and you can't be lethargical about it. You've got to be onto it. You've got to pick a cow which is crook and deal with it. You've also got to have excellent animal health records, because if a cow is causing you grief more than once, then she really shouldn't be in the system. She's not an organic cow. And I think you've just got to be a bit of an experimenter too. You've got to be willing to try new pastures and new crops. When we first set out, Gray and I budgeted on about a 5 to 10% production drop, and that was due to the removal of nitrogen from the system, this easy feed. And then we sort of thought about it and said, rightio, well, the nitrogen's actually it isn't going to be that bad because the clovers are going to work better. When we first set out on this organic journey, I said to Gray that we'd probably be able to add about $60,000, $70,000 to the bottom line once we're fully converted. In the last 2 seasons, where we're getting a 7% premium on our milk here, we have, as a share milker, as that's all I can talk about, I don't know Gray's side of the business too well, however we're adding about $100 a hectare, so that's about $15,000 as a share milker. So I'm not sure what Gray's side of the equation is, but our side of the equation is certainly better than what we're doing on the conventional farm. Because I have got that comparison, you see. I do run a couple of other conventional share milking systems.
If you're going to be organic, it's very profitable, it's very successful. You must use fertiliser, particularly phosphate and potash, and there are good forms of doing it. You must look after your land. You must do the things right. So organics is there for money to be made. Don't do it half pie. Use proper inputs, spend the money and get the return.
I look out my window and have this new appreciation of the farm, where I feel like we've given it heart and soul and you can almost see it breathing, and it's just nice to know that a lot of artificial chemicals and things are not being thrown at it really hard just to forever be trying to keep up production.
I guess for us as landowners, where I was a little bit scared, the farm would go backwards was an initial fear. People say, oh, you go organic, you might end up going bust in 10 years because the farm production will drop, and your farm will look scungy and it'll grow dandelions, and that was a certain fear that I have. So I guess we can say that doesn't happen, and we do use a lot of fertiliser, we grow a lot of grass. It's just like any other farming, but you use different sorts, so that fear's been allayed.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.